How to Budget by Paycheck. Hi, and welcome back. I'm Kamika, and this is Well Balanced Wallet, where I help you create healthy money habits and live a life that you love on your current budget. Today, we're going to talk about budgeting by paycheck. If you watch any of my Budget With Me videos, you know that I am a month ahead on my finances. So when I budget, I can budget for the whole month at one time. But I know that this isn't always the case. So today we're going to take a look at the steps that you should take when you are budgeting paychecks 1 week at a time. Let's get started. Okay, so this is a copy of my real budget with no numbers, no transactions or anything like that. So we're going to use this as our blueprint. So the first thing that you should do when you are budgeting by paycheck is to get organized. So if you notice in my budget, I have like some numbers here for some of these categories, and these were helpful for me when I was budgeting by paycheck. I don't actually use these numbers anymore because a few things have changed. The dates that things get paid are different, but we'll just leave these here as an example. But while you're getting organized, you want to make sure you know when each of your bills needs to be paid. So this section is for all of my monthly bills, and I need to know exactly what day these things need to be paid. So let's fill in the rest. For life insurance, let's just say the 20th. Okay, and then we'll do the 8th for gym. I'm just making up these dates, but we're just gonna try to get a wide variety of dates here. And let's do the 16th for Apple Music. And we know the mortgage comes out on the 1st. Oh, I'll put a 0. And then I think everything else here is pretty much sinking funds or things that don't have due dates. So we have due dates by everything. Let's put these in order. So in YNAB, you can just drag and drop all of these categories to where they need to be. And then gas is just for gas for the car. So there's no due date for that one. And then we have the mortgage on the 1st. Okay, so now we are organized. We know exactly when our bills need to be paid, and we can move forward to adding in our transaction for our paycheck. Okay, so when you get paid, it comes into your checking account. So you'll go to your checking account and add your transaction. Today is December the 8th. Let's do paycheck. And then the category is ready to assign. And let's say we got paid $1,200. Okay, so now we'll go back to our budget and we can move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step for budgeting by paycheck is to budget for your priorities first. So since today is the 8th, that means that our gym membership and everything above it should have already come out of our account. So we only need to focus on the things that we need to pay before we get paid again. So if we are paid bi-weekly, today is the 8th, we'll get paid again on the 22nd. So we need to focus on the bills from the 9th through the 22nd. So let's go ahead and budget for those first. Let's see, we have student loans. Let's just say student loans are $150. Apple Music, let's say that's $15. Life insurance comes out on the 20th. So we'll go ahead and do $50 for that. Okay, so we've budgeted for the main things that are gonna come out of our checking account before we get paid again. And we have $985 left. So the next step is to think about your priorities and budget your remaining money. Okay, so we have $985 left. We've already budgeted for the 3 things that are gonna come out before we get paid again on the 22nd. And we have options. So we know we're gonna need some gas for the car. So let's go ahead and put, let's say you use $75 worth of gas in 2 weeks. So that's cool. Okay, so we have our $75 here. We still have $910 left. Okay, so now we can go down and see what else we have in our budget. We need to budget for groceries for 2 weeks. Let's say that's $200. Eating out for 2 weeks. So let's just say maybe $100. and we have $610. So let's give ourselves a little spending money. Maybe we'll say $50 for 2 weeks. If you budget with a partner, make sure to give them spending money as well. Now we have household goods. So are we going to need any tissue, paper towels, toiletries before we get paid again? The answer is probably yes. And we can do, let's say $50 for that. And then we have our sinking funds left, miscellaneous entertainments for the moment. And then we have some of our things that are going to be due at the beginning of next month and at the end of this month. So we have $460 to assign. I think it would be a good idea, based on our fictional priorities, to give ourselves a little bit of miscellaneous money because stuff always comes up. And then I think it's a good idea for this budget to go ahead and get ahead of the 2 bills that are going to come up for the next paycheck, since we have $435 to play with. So let's say we just add $50 here for the student loan payment, and maybe we add $50 here for the electricity, and we have $335 left. So we can either fill up some of these sinking funds, which may be a good idea. We can get a head start on the mortgage for next month, which is also a good idea. Home maintenance and repairs, if you own a home, that's also a good idea to add money there. Or we can start funding some of these bills for next month. I'm going to go with the sinking funds. So while we're not going to be able to fill in all of these categories with this one paycheck, we can go ahead and put something in a few of these categories. So if we need some personal care items for the next 2 weeks, we can do $50 there. If you want to save money for Christmas, which is in a couple of weeks, maybe you want to put $100 here. We still have $185. Let's go ahead and put some money in the car maintenance categories, and maybe we'll do $25 for medical expenses because we don't have any appointments coming up and nothing crazy is going on. And we still have $110 left. We might be doing a little bit of traveling for Christmas, so maybe we'll do $60 here. And then I think we'll go back up and do $50 towards home maintenance and repairs, just to get some money in there. Okay, so now all of our money has been assigned, and we can take a good look at what we need to do with our next paycheck. So just off the top of our heads, we know we'll get paid on the 22nd. We'll have to fill in the remaining amounts for the student loan and electricity categories. We'll probably have to fill up the gas category again, and the next paycheck is also going to cover these bills at the first of the month. So that's just kind of looking ahead. So now that we have budgeted all of our money from this paycheck and we kind of looked ahead to see what's coming up for the next paycheck, one big thing to remember throughout the month is to check your budget categories before you spend any money, and to track your transactions to make sure that your budget stays accurate. This is going to make sure that you are not spending money that you don't have, and also make sure that you're staying on track with your goals and your priorities. Now, I know it's a little bit weird to not be able to budget for the whole month at one time, and I know a lot of people tend to budget for these expenses anyway, but if you do that in YNAB, they have sort of like a fail safe to let you know that you've budgeted more money than you actually have. So if you put $50 here, it's going to show that you need to fix this because you've assigned more money to your budget than you have in your bank account. So we don't want to do that in YNAB. So YNAB understands this, and they know that it's frustrating to not be able to see your full month of expenses at one time. So they do have a way that you can fill out your budget without having the money in your checking account and not affecting your bank balance or your budget. And I'll talk about that in another video. But this is how you want to think about your priorities and budget your money according to your goals, especially when you are budgeting by paycheck or even living paycheck to paycheck. So that's all for this video. If you made it this far, drop this emoji in the comments, and be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and click the link on your screen right now for more Well Balanced Wallet content. See you there.